Hi, everybody. So we're here from New Mexico, and sometimes people are surprised to hear that there's a educational game studio at a university in New Mexico that's known for agriculture. But we've been doing this for 20 years, and we have started to figure out how it works. And one of the things that really has made this process easier is figuring out how to incorporate user testing at every stage of the game. So we like to do a lot of formative testing. This shows you some of our varied products in different educational fields, including the one in the right-hand corner that says RAR. That was actually a ATV safety game where users have to learn how to control their four-wheeler as they navigate the shadowy land of Treadsylvania. But the games we're going to talk about today are our math games, Math Snacks. We've got 5 of them, so far just 3 apps and 6 animations. And they address math content that was identified by research as being stumbling blocks for students. So one of the previous presenters mentioned how doing poorly in math can really haunt a student for a long time. So by identifying some of these hot topics that if you don't figure out ratios, if you don't figure out the number line, suddenly the math you're doing in the next year doesn't make any sense. And that either means that you're going to just tune out and say, I'm not good at math, or you've got to find a way to make up that content. So our Math Snacks games give the student a way to learn those concepts that they didn't catch the first time. So obviously, students are an important audience for us and an important part of our testing. And as well as the games, we also have some curriculum materials that we need to design for students. But we have some other audiences too, teachers. So who's actually recommending these games, bringing them into the classroom, validating them for parents? That's teachers. So we really need to know not only how to appeal to teachers, but how will teachers actually use the games? What other hands-on activities will they use that tie into the game topics? How are they going to discuss the math after the students play the game? And knowing all of that stuff through user testing lets us design better games and better curriculum materials. We also provide teaching with videos for each of our games where we actually have a teacher in the classroom using the game, and we've got video footage that shows prospective teachers who might not be very comfortable with games, how do I actually fit this into my lesson? They can watch another teacher using best practices with students, discussing the topic, show how you integrate the game into the classroom. So we've got a lot of different products, and all of that also helps us figure out how to reach our audiences through marketing, and that's what I primarily do. All of these items are found at our website, mathsnacks.org. And we need to figure out where do our audiences hang out? Where do teachers like to hang out? That might be edmodo.com, that might be Pinterest, that might be Twitter and Facebook, graphite.org. There's lots of places where teachers are exchanging ideas and validating tools like these for each other. And by doing user testing with real teachers and students, we kind of intuitively understand how to reach those people, what types of concerns do they have that we can address through social media, through our website. And also, what will they pay? Always the key question at the end of the day. And for some of our resources, the answer is they don't need to pay because we offer them freely, but for others, we are trying to incorporate payment. So all of this comes back to the fact that for us, testing is not something that we do at the end of the day after everything has been completed. Testing is very much part of the design process. And all of our design team is involved in testing and sees the results of testing firsthand so that they're not sort of alienated from the reason that we need to make changes, or something that seemed perfectly good to us isn't working for learners, or for the age group that, you know, they're not into pirates anymore, now they want ninjas, that type of thing. So we have 3 basic tenets that we follow in our design process, and I'll hand it to Barbara.
Thanks, Amy. So I had this personal epiphany. I'm Barbara Chamberlin a few years ago because I hated user testing, as we all tend to do, but it's kind of like flossing. I don't really enjoy doing it, but I know it's a good thing. So the personal epiphany I had was not to resent user testing every time I had to do it, but to find a way to make it easy. So here was what worked for us. Here's today's 3-item listicle. Okay, the first is to solve the access problem. The reason user testing is such a pain is because of the hassle inherent in getting access to people. And then you get them and it's scheduled, and then you're kind of ready, and then you have to get your test ready, and then you only have them for an hour, and then you lose them again. Everything changed for us when we did this by getting a standing group of testers. Tokaboka does this, Sego Sego, their offshoot, does this. A lot of people do this successfully. How you do it depends on what is best for you. Maybe it's an after-school club that comes and meets once a week. Maybe it's parents bringing kids with you once a week to do that. The trick is to have a standing group of testers all the time, even if you don't use them. Gather them, have them play other people's games, have them do whatever, so that at any point in your development you can say, let's take it to the testers. And you have them every Tuesday, no matter what. It changes how you test things because you can do it so much more frequently. We had 2 great ways we did this with our Math Snacks project. The first is our summer camp. So we bring in Game Lab consultants. They are youth at the target audience that we're designing for, and they come in and they spend a week or 2 weeks with us. It's during the summer. We have kids in every day in our Game Lab, in the building with our developers. It's so convenient. And then we train them as reviewers. They have curriculum they go through. They review our games. They review other people's games. They go through all the methods that we use, but they're also doing things during the other time that they have. I may not be testing with them all the time, but they're engaged in design activities. And the fact that our developers at any point when they're designing say, gosh, this is something I hadn't thought of before. What about this? What about this? We just take it down to the kids. The second thing we did that was a brainstorm on this Math Snacks project was to bring teachers in for summer camps. So we hired teachers to come in and teach a 2-week summer camp. The kids come in the morning. The teachers use our games with the kids, teach in the morning. Then the kids leave. The teachers spend the afternoon working with other teachers, changing their lesson plans, getting feedback. They come back the second day, and they get to try to teach the same lesson again with changes. And we get to watch the whole thing. So not only do we see how our games are being used, the teachers get an iterative design process to change their way of doing this. The teachers get paid. The kids pay to come to the camp, and we're there learning the whole time. Not only that, when we need teachers to come for our teaching with videos, or to ask them questions, or to test something in their classroom, we have teachers who preach with the zeal of the converted because they have spent time over the summer becoming invested in our games. Okay. A second thing that has worked well with us, use multiple methods for each question. Now, I'm not saying ask the same question 3 different times. You know what your questions are for user testing. Attack that in multiple ways. Here's some of the methods that we use. Certainly, we do focus groups, but we do that the least. In fact, we kind of use focus groups as just kind of a warm-up to get the kids thinking. When it comes to design and user testing, focus groups really don't help us much. But it gets the mind rolling for our testers so that they can start thinking about how they feel. Things that we use. Video closet has been very successful for us. Put a question up on the wall. Kids turn on the camera. When they're ready, they answer the question on videotape. It gives them a chance to really frame what they're thinking. You can avoid groupthink, and then you have it recorded to turn back to and watch later. That works great. Focus group first, then put them in the video closet. Our blogging area, we actually make kids write out sentences. Oh, it's agonizing. But the wonderful thing about writing is writing helps us shape how we feel. The feedback we get from them blogging about something isn't spectacular, but the writing process itself helps them articulate how they feel about things so that by the time they get into a video closet or we do an interview, they're able to describe what they're thinking and feeling. We do a lot of creative development. If you want to know what your ninja should look like, don't show them a picture of a ninja, have them draw the ninja and explain to you what's on the ninja's belt. And then when you hear the way they describe things, you get an idea of what it's like to be their age. We do a lot of level design, creative activity, character design, where the kids give us the information by drawing it. We use observation probably the most, either 2-on-1, 2 kids for 1 observer, or 1-on-1, where we just watch them. The nice thing about having them in our lab all the time is they're used to us being with them, so we some kind of mediate that feeling observed that they sense, because they're used to us being in the room with them all the time. Okay, number 3, don't ask the question you want answered. This is the hardest part, because ultimately you want to know, is my game fun? Is it good? Do you like it? Those are really what you want to know, and you can't ever ask that question. You have to figure out what you want to know and then find creative ways to get at that. You can do it by observation, by discussion, the creative activity, other questions. So for example, if I'm trying to figure out which of these art styles to go with, I can't go to kids and say, which of these art styles should I go with? First off, I need to know, are any of these art styles deal breakers? Okay, that's the first question. So I don't ask that. So I might put them into discussion, I might put them in the video closet, I might ask them to talk to it about other people, how to recommend it. Find other ways to get at the questions you want. Here's some examples of that. How to ask the right question. Of course, the first thing you know when working with anybody in user testing is you can't ask yes or no questions. So I encourage our team, before we go into a user testing session, to write the questions we want to know, just so we've got them down and figuring out our goal. Then lots of different ways to ask that question, and write them down, because we are human beings, and the first thing you will do is turn any question off the top of your head into a yes or no question. So write them down, eliminate anything that starts with do or is. Those are yes or no questions. It won't help you. And replace it all with open-ended. Tell me, describe, how do you feel about it? If you can just do that thing right there, it will improve your user testing. Write them down first. Now, here's our other trick. When you bring your user testers in, put yourself in the mindset that your goal is not to think about not to find out what that user tester feels. Imagine they are an advisor, and your goal is to view them as a representative of everybody else. It changes the way you ask questions. So instead of saying, do you like this, or is this too old for you or too young for you, you say instead, what age do you think this game is for? Think of your friends. Tell me which of your friends would like playing this and why. Who would you recommend this game is for? When you take the pressure off them making you happy, or them feeling like you need to know about them, and you say instead, tell me about everybody you know, it really opens them up to give you open and honest feedback about that. What kind of games do kids in your class like? That doesn't have anything to do with the game I might have just had them play, but I guarantee you, you have them play your game, and then you say, what kind of games do kids in your class like? You're gonna find out what they thought about the game they just played. It's a very nice way to get them into that. Now, we only had 20 minutes today, and we want to get to questions and answers, but on our website, learninggameslab.org, there's the curriculum that we use, that we take our kids through. There's several videos we have where we go into our theoretical framework, different questions, strategies, and more on the methods. So if you're interested in setting something like that up, you can get more information on it there. And that's our information. Our contact information is up there. And of course, we love not only that NSF funded Math Snacks, but we love that our federal government is funding game development for learning. Any questions? This is an easy group.
Hi. The video closet is not something I've heard of before. Is this something you guys came up with? And
It is.
do you, I'm a little fuzzy on how it works. So you let them play the game first, then send them into the closet? It's like,
Sure. We use it for all of that. And it is something I invented because I was, when I had my child, I was spending a lot of nights with my baby in the middle of the night watching closed caption television. And MTV was really one of the few channels that would close caption. So I was watching Real World. This was back in the day. And I saw them doing all like the true testimonials. And I thought, this is great research. So that was why we came up with the video closet. And it's just a little little tiny corner of it. But the problem with focus groups and working with kids is you get groupthink. And some kids need to really kind of talk through things to see how they think about it. Some kids, not me, but others, actually think and reflect before they speak, and they need time to do that. So the video closet has a video, well, we've done it two ways. We've done it with a video camera, but we just created an app that isn't released yet. It's called Interviews, and that is designed to do this on an iPad. But we can put pictures up, we have a whiteboard, or on the Interviews app, it puts a question. We ask the kids to respond to it, and when they're ready, turn on the camera and record themselves. So it is everything from, here's 3 pictures, pick the one you like the least and tell us what's wrong with it, to what would you call the game that you played earlier, to which level did you get, and tell us what was the hardest part. So it's always open-ended. It's meant to be something within 2 to 3 minutes, and usually we have another activity going on the rest of our group is engaged in, and all the kids, or adults, we do this with adults as well, go in before they leave, one last thing, and do the video closet. It was a really great thing for us. It's been great.
We also make sure that they've got lots of practice in the video closet, so we don't necessarily throw them in there to tell us about the game that we're really wondering about first thing. They've had a prompt every single day that they've come in about just whatever, so that they're used to giving their impressions.
That's a really important point. When you have easy access to kids or users and you have them regularly, give them other people's apps. You get practice in being a tester. They get practice in articulating and describing and giving you rich feedback so that when you give them something everybody's experienced and the testing session goes better. It's also really revealing to take an app that you love and have them review it and have them be critical of it, or to give them an app that you hate and see what they like about it. It really changes how you can interpret it, what you find out about your own as well. I think we're done. Thanks for your attention and your time today.